Uber, the newest form of transportation. A stranger driving a car to pick up strangers and take them to their location. Whether you're the driver or the customer, there's bound to be some scary stories. So grab a blanket, turn off your lights for 3 of these. Don't forget to keep your seatbelt on. Got my first PUKER. 600 rides, and I'm taking this couple from a residential part of town to a place called Saltaire, which is way the hell out of town, so it's a nice 20-mile ride at 1.7. Some sort of EDM show. Guy says this is their first Uber. After a mile from the end, the chick starts retching, and I tell the guy there's a barf bag in my seat back. He says she doesn't need one. I tell him to get one anyways, and I reach back and pull one most of the way out for him to grab. He says she is fine. So of course, she then barfs on the seat in front of her and onto the floor. Fortunately, I have WeatherTech mats for the snow, and the mat catches most of it, but after she gets out, the puke that hit the seat front rolled back under her ass and is all over the seat. Guy says, "Sorry man," and tips me $20. I run to the nearest O'Reilly's, and the guy was super cool. I cleaned up the mat and they gave me some gloves, and I bought some shop rags and a scrubber, and using my water bottles I got it pretty clean. Got a new air freshener, burned 45 minutes. I asked the next Pax for a personal favor just as I was picking him up. I asked if he would be cool checking the smell of the ride before we go. If it's bad, we can cancel with no hard feelings. If it smells fine, we will go ahead. He said it smells like cleaner and air freshener, so that was cool. I got pictures of it, and Uber gave me $100 for cleaning. Dinged the guy a 2 because he did tip me for it, but I am sure he rated me a 1 because by the end of the night, I had 1 more rating and it dropped me to a full 0.1. I only drive weekends. The Pax of course knew who rated him since it was his only Uber. Hopefully no one gets stuck with this guy since his rate is a 2. Our first Uber car accident experience. Nightmares. Flashback to February 21st. My husband was out Uber driving all night in Modesto, California. While it's not typically too busy out there, that night he just happened to be making a killing. I mean, every single ride was back to back, and Serge was getting up in the 4s. He had just dropped off a rider's date at her apartment complex and is proceeding to take the rider home. Stopped at a T intersection facing Standiford Road. It's a main road, long stretch. A van, attempting to make a right turn onto the same street. The van stopped and took a turn too wide, and guess what? Slammed into my husband head on. The driver then backs out of the grill of my beautiful but now mangled 2008 Nissan and proceeds going down the street that my husband is now stranded on. My husband tries to chase him, but the car doesn't move, so he jumps out and only gets the first few numbers of the license plate. Just great. Luckily, nobody's injured. My husband calls the cops. They come and take a police report and get the description of the driver. My roommate drives me to the scene of the accident. The cops call a tow truck, and they tow my car to the city tow yard. After the cops leave, and the car is towed away, my husband, roommate, the Uber driver, and myself decided to take a drive around the neighborhood and test our luck with finding the guy who hit him. We start driving, see a couple of vans that look similar but were not it, and decided to head home. We turned back onto the street that my husband got hit on. We noticed a small court just off that same street, and we noticed a van parked on the street. So we go and look, not it. Flip around, boom! Parked right in the driveway of one of the houses. Same van, same color, same beginning numbers of the license plate, and mangled front end. I couldn't believe it. Less than a quarter of a mile away from the accident, right off of the same street. Called the cops right away and gave them the complete license plate number and address where it was parked. Flash forward. A hit-and-run investigator is assigned to the case. The same night, cops went to the door and failed to make contact. I filed the complaint immediately with Uber. Uber sent it to an insurance company within the next couple of days. The insurance company says it's a $1,000 deductible regardless of fault. Fuck my life. Our car still has $4,400 financed on it, so we're thinking, awesome, because KBB only values the car around $4,000 max. I was hesitant to file that claim directly with the insurance company because I wanted to find out if we'd be able to get the guy's insurance to pay for the damages and rid me of the deductibles. I caved because I needed to get this sorted out. This is my only main source of income. So meanwhile, I'm carless. Uber's insurance does not provide rental reimbursement. Uber's insurance also does not help out with the lost wages due to the accident, which is very unfortunate for those who are only employed with Uber like us. Uber also does not provide UI or UIM property damage. Only bodily injury is covered. So that was not an option for covering the deductible, rental reimbursement, etc. Fortunately, the insurance company was very easy to work with. Our agent was very nice and prompt with responses. Uber, on the other hand, could not give a damn about the situation. I contacted them several occasions pleading for any type of help, even down to asking for a couple of free ride codes. Their response, our apologies, but we will not be able to offer such compensation in the matter. Thank you. For a multi-billion-dollar company, I don't think it would have been too much sweat off their backs to give one of their partners who is in dire need of a couple of rides. So note to self, Uber is completely useless. Don't even bother going to them unless it means that they are getting money in some way. Long story short, I just got the call today. My car was deemed a total loss. Sad. But luckily, they value my car at $8,600 and took the $1,000 deductible out, bringing it down to $7,600. Being that my car was $4,400 to be paid off, it'll still leave me with enough finance to finance a new car with a down payment. I honestly got very lucky in this situation. I hope none of you ever have to go through this, especially if driving is your livelihood. I have fought tooth and nail to give this company a good name, and unfortunately Uber just does not care. I won't be recommending anyone to drive for the company anymore unless they change the way they are handling business. They are not going to last very long. So, just to go over some things that I stated above, $1,000 insurance deductible is mandatory regardless of fault. Does not cover rental reimbursement, does not cover lost wages, does not have underinsured, uninsured property damages, bodily injury only. Get Metro Mile insurance. They have great coverage and choice of low deductible, towing reimbursement, roadside assistance, etc. Uber doesn't care about your well-being. Uber will not let you get a copy of the full insurance policy in detail. Safe driving, everyone. Uber ride from hell. A couple days ago, myself and a couple of friends went to a large city for a concert. We booked a hotel just a few minutes from where the concert was supposed to take place, but 2 days before the trip, it was moved to another venue across town, and there was no time to change our hotel. It was now about a 20-minute drive across town to get there, in a city where we were unfamiliar with. We decided it would be easier to use the Uber app for the first time in our lives and get a ride with someone who most likely knew where they were going, so we wouldn't have to worry about it. I was a little hesitant about it. The idea of riding with a random stranger who just downloaded an app and decided to be an amateur taxi driver didn't sit well with me, but it was a lot cheaper than a taxi, and none of us had much cash on us, so it was really our only option. Things started out well. We booked the ride, the guy showed up within minutes, and we all piled in. He was nice enough and made some small talk for a bit. Then we get to a residential neighborhood, and he tells us that we're here. There was nothing even remotely close to a concert venue in sight. He tells us that we must have entered the address wrong, and we looked it up ourselves and showed him that we most definitely did not, and that we were on the completely wrong side of town. He got pissed, reprograms his GPS to the correct location, and tears off, no longer driving cautiously and no longer friendly and talkative. About a half hour later, we are finally nearing our correct destination. We were following along on our own phone GPSs now, and he misses the exit on the freeway. Instead of doing what a normal person would do and continuing on, taking the next exit or letting the GPS recalculate, he stops on the highway, then looks at his phone to try and figure out what to do. He then turns on his flashers and throws the car into reverse on the interstate, like he's going to back up and take the exit. Needless to say, a car comes screeching to a stop behind us, barely missing us. Unfortunately, the car behind them did not. I will never forget the sound of the people behind us screaming as the back end of their car came up off the ground. They were hit so hard. Then the guy tells us he doesn't want any trouble and drives off. At this point, we were just telling him to take an exit and to let us out. When he does so, we realize we're on the correct street and about a mile away from the concert, so we go ahead and have him take us the rest of the way. We couldn't get out of the car fast enough. We all stood there dumbfounded and eventually decided we need to talk to the cops. Luckily, there was one working at the concert, so we gave him what information we could, but it wasn't much. He basically told us since the guy wasn't physically involved in the accident, even though he caused it, that he wouldn't be in trouble for leaving the scene. My friend who ordered the ride was looking at his app to see what options he had to report the guy to Uber, and noticed that he had charged us double for all the extra driving. That was entirely his fault. Pretty much ruined our evening and our Uber experience. We were terrified to take another one on the way back home, but didn't have much choice. Luckily, the ride home was great. The driver was friendly and professional, and had us back at the hotel in 15 minutes instead of 45 minutes of hell we had to endure on the original trip. So crazy Uber driver, let's not meet again.